Hey, welcome back lads. So let's talk some more about Call of Duty 2024 or Black Ops 6 because the official reveal event is going to happen in the very near future, any week now, and as we know the first reveal of a new COD game is always focused on the campaign, the story and just the game in general, but there will not be much, if anything, about multiplayer and zombies, not yet anyways. So before everything is revealed, I did want to go deeper into some of the stuff that this campaign will explore, based on where and when it takes place in the Black Ops timeline, and of course other stuff has been teased and leaked to us, so we can put that all together to understand a lot more about, well, Black Ops 6. For example, one of the most important things is that Black Ops 6 is going to explore a lot more than what people seem to think. For some reason, a lot of the community still has this idea that the game will be limited to just the Gulf War in the early 90s, but in real life the Gulf War was a very short and, well, limited conflict, so they're not going to base the entire game off of just that, and the new teasers seem to confirm that. Like, in the new teaser images we do see a Gulf War reference, the word Gulf, and 91 as in the year 1991 when the Gulf War happened, but then we also see another very interesting date of 2001, which is probably in relation to 9/11, so in some capacity that will be in the campaign, and as we know the 9/11 attacks sparked the global war on terror, so the Afghanistan war, and at the same time period there was also the 2003 Iraq war, so if we put that all together we're starting to build a bit of a timeline here, so Black Ops 6 could span an entire 12 years time period. And the Gulf War stuff is probably the very early stuff, like flashbacks and early part of the game. So if you remember, there was also 2 leaked images of multiplayer maps, and one is set in a real life palace in Iraq, the Babylon Palace, which was stormed in 2003 in the Iraq War. So yeah, there's definitely a bit of a time jump going on here. And talking about multiplayer map leaks, there is also one called Mogadishu, which is the capital city of Somalia in Africa, which means that Black Ops 6 will also explore the Black Hawk Down incident, which was in 1994 I think, so we can also put that onto the timeline, so once again a couple of years after the Gulf War. So I'm kind of seeing a bit of a pattern here, and an idea I have in mind is, you know, just a bit of a theory, just a bit of speculation, but I think that this campaign might be very much inspired by Black Ops 2, where, you know, you had the kind of present day in quotation marks is, you know, the year 2025, where you had David Mason, Alex Mason's son, who was talking to an old man, Sergeant Woods, or old crippled Sergeant Woods. So part of the campaign was like flashbacks and war stories being told by Woods, so I think maybe we could see something similar with Adler. So Black Ops 6 might take place in, you know, the early 2000s after 9/11 in the Afghanistan and Iraq wars. By then Adler might be a bit too old to be participating in the action, but then he'll have like flashback missions and stuff back to 11-12 years in the past, so like the Gulf War and Somalia war, stuff like that. So yeah, it'll be like a parallel of Black Ops 2 where you had this old Sergeant Woods having flashbacks, but now it's Adler recalling events that have already happened. And also talking about David Mason, it's very likely that we will see an younger version of David Mason, because it says here that he was in the military in 1996, that's when he joined, so, you know, come the War on Terror, the early 2000s, he'd be there, he'd be in the military, in the Navy SEALs, so I would be extremely surprised if we do not see David Mason return and have him operating with Adler and like learning from Adler and stuff like that. And of course Black Ops games normally do have some aspect of being alternate history, like look at Black Ops 1 and Cold War. They are set in history but they don't stick 100% to real life, like that's the entire idea of Black Ops, right? It's like secret missions and battles that are hidden from the public and not in the history books. So from the teasers we see this Cerberus group operating within the US and Europe who are against the US and Europe, so there could be this kind of like an idea of like a secret war going on the soil of the US. It's kind of like, look, in Cold War there was a mission where you raid the KGB HQ in Moscow. There were maps on the streets of Moscow and Miami, which obviously battles did not happen there in the 80s, so we like the same here. There'll be like maps and missions in this game that we can't even think of right now because it's not real history, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's about that. I think I'll put up the timeline once again of what we have for this game exploring, because I think that helps us just understand more. So yeah, stay spicy and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.